This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, Heather, ho there, Chef Cutter W. Welcome to the Sports Catastrophe on this date. And on this date, December 12th, way back when, in 1933, 90 years ago, one of the most scariest on-ice incidents in NHL history had happened. This was this is years before Richard Sednick had a skate get him in the neck, and even Clint Malarchuk with a skate at the neck. The fact of the matter was that there was a massive hit that caused one player to almost die, and then retribution. It's December 12th, 1933, in Boston at the Boston Garden. It's the matchup between the Boston Bruins and the Toronto Maple Leafs. And one of the most unheard of moments in hockey violence history happened. So let's give you some semblance on this. The Leafs were in a big way one of the most dominating teams. They were 9-2-1 headed into the game against the Boston Bruins, who were just mediocre at 6-6. The Leafs had a 1-1 tie with Boston, as Hap Day scored for Toronto. Vic Ripley, believe it or not, scored for Boston. And then at the 13-minute mark became one of the most unheard of violent moments ever. Eddie Shore, one of the greatest defensemen ever, who played for the Boston Bruins and had won would have won a lot of Norris trophies for best defenseman had the trophy been awarded pre-1954, although he won several Hart trophies for the top player in the NHL, took a hit. After Eddie Shore thought that Red Horner had hit him, after King Clancy upended Eddie Shore with a hard check, Shore rushed at Bailey intent for revenge, and thinking he was going after King Clancy, but he went to the wrong player. He went to Ace Bailey. Now, I know a lot of people would think, wait a minute, Ace Bailey, wasn't he one of the victims of 9/11? No, that was Garnett Ace Bailey, and that was a different Ace Bailey. The Ace Bailey that I'm talking about played for the Leafs in the 1930s. Unfortunately, though, Eddie Shore hit him from behind, and Bailey's head went crack onto the ice, fracturing his skull and convulsed on the ice of the Boston Garden. Red Horner, the Leafs bad boy, if you will, took revenge and knocked Shore out cold with one punch after the incident. It was hard to believe. Red Horner got a game misconduct. Eddie Shore got 20 minutes penalty-wise for his actions. Funny thing was, that was the only Boston penalty of the night. Toronto would score 3 goals for their fallen teammate as Heck Kilroy, Joe Primo, and then Hale Kilroy, again, the father of Brian Kilroy, one of the greatest junior coaches of all time. Sorry, Dale Hunter. Did it. So, anyway, Bailey was sent to Boston Hospital, and a lot of people thought he was basically done for in his career. Everyone thought he would not survive after severe injury in his head. And remember, medical technology has changed in 90 years. So, Bailey was in the Boston Hospital. Eddie Shore did have some guilt over the incident and all that. But anyhow, Ace Bailey's father was so outraged, he took a gun and wanted to head to Boston to go after Shore. Fortunately, though, Toronto police alerted Boston police, and Shore was saved as Bailey's dad was apprehended. Bailey fortunately came out of a coma 10 days later and made a full recovery. It was basically no way he was going to have his career finish. So, it was just sad to see his career end based on this hit and all that. So, anyway, Frank Calder, the league president, didn't make a ruling on Eddie Shore if he would punish him. But when he learned that Ace Bailey will be fine, making a full recovery, he cracked down hard, giving Shore a 16-game suspension, which was the benchmark for suspensions in the NHL in history. Now, a lot of people say Rocky Richard's was longer, but actually Richard's was less, I think, because, well, Richard was given suspension for the last 3 games of the regular season and then throughout the playoffs, and I think the Habs only played like 11 playoff games. But regardless, yeah, Eddie Shore's 16-game suspension was not tackled upon for years. So the NHL decided to put a benefit game on the All-Star game, which isn't like the All-Star game that we all know and kind of enjoy, depending on who you are. But an All-Star benefit game was played at Maple Leaf Gardens on Valentine's Day, 1934, for Ace Bailey's condition. The Leafs would place a team made up of players from the other NHL franchises. And there was a story that, each player would be introduced by their number, well, the All-Stars, and Ace Bailey himself would give them a token and all that. So Eddie Shore went up second because his number was number 2. And shockingly, Shore and Bailey shook hands and embraced at center ice before the game began, and people were gasping that Ace Bailey would show some contrition for Eddie Shore. And despite his career basically ending thanks to Eddie Shore, he shook his hand, and people were like, wow, if Ace Bailey can do all that for forgiveness, then why the heck couldn't anyone else? So that was a huge benefit. The game where that All-Star game benefit game gave $20,909 for Bailey and his family. But of course, this is 1934 money. So, and remember, $20,000 was huge back in the Great Depression. Toronto decided to do the one thing possible and decided to retire Ace Bailey's number 6, making the Leafs the first NHL team to retire a number, and Bailey's number 6 was retired in 1934. And still is one of the numbers permanently retired by the Leafs. But Ace Bailey himself said that he wanted number 6 unretired so that Ron Ellis could wear it. And Ron Ellis wore the number 6 with pride for 13 years as a Leaf. Bailey would have 111 goals in 313 career games, but a lot of people would think, how good would Ace Bailey have been if it wasn't for Eddie Shore's stupid ass hit on him? All that. So, it was just unbelievable. Bailey was in critical condition with a fractured skull, was operated on for 4 hours, and people thought he would possibly die and all that. So, yeah. It's just what happened and all that. Post-play career, he wanted to be a linesman but turned down. He would go on to coach the University of Toronto's hockey team from 1935 to 1940, and then again after World War II, winning 3 Canadian University championships. He was basically a timekeeper from 1938 to 1984 when Harold Ballard basically fired him. Toronto would retire Ace Bailey's number 6 for good April 1992. And unfortunately, Bailey would die 6 days after that number 6 would retire of lung failure at the age of 88. It was amazing and all that. Yeah, his number 6 was actually the first ever number retirement in sports. You see many sports like baseball, basketball, football, hockey retire people's numbers. Ace Bailey's number 6 was the first ever retired in those sports, either baseball, basketball, football, or hockey. Unbelievable. It wasn't Babe Ruth. It wasn't Javi Morenz. It was Ace Bailey of all people. But yeah, that hit set a precedent for violence in the NHL. And, there have been a lot of violent moves. McSorley's smack to Brashear's head. And, of course, Ty Bertuzzi ruining Steve Moore's career by punching him and then landing on top of him by accident. But, yeah, things happen for a reason. But there's no excuse for Eddie Shore, a multiple-time Hart Trophy winner, to do such bullshit move like that. Sorry, but that's how I feel. And it's not because I'm a Leaf fan, but it's because of the violence of everything going on. Anyhow, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.